You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always are my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And we have another special guest this week, but before we get to it, let's talk a little bit about our sponsors. If you're in the need for a good battery, look up A Power Batteries. Go to rcbatteriesusa.com, type in PFPC10. For those of you that haven't used them before, they're wonderful batteries, and we all use them here at the Park Flyer Podcast. I've actually seen on our Facebook listeners group that there's a couple of guys that have already started picking them up, and we're getting good reviews all the way around. So rcbatteriesusa.com, PFPC10 for A Power Batteries. Also,
okay, we're getting boring there. I mean, where's the audio? Where's the song?
I know. Well,
I go away. I've gone one episode and they're like, no, there's no singing anymore. What's happened?
Well,
I can't carry you guys.
All right. Well, if you're on the web and you haven't heard our singing, then you need to go to 3D Aero Ventures. 3D Aero Ventures is a 3D printable RC airplanes that's flyable and printable off your own home 3D system. You can type in a Park Flyer and receive our discount there as well. So you have no 3D Aero Ventures song as well. So you're not doing it at all.
We need help. We need help from our listeners.
We do. And actually we have a phone number, 830-444-4943. People have actually given us a couple of jingles. I think Jay did one at some point, which actually worked pretty well. So we always look forward to having our listeners reach out to us and give us some jingles. So Jay's working on that. I think he's got a couple in there. We had the A-Team last time, I think, right?
Yes, we did.
Didn't you do the A-Team?
Yeah.
So, well, this week we have another special guest all the way from North Carolina. We would like to welcome Doug Leroy back to our show. Doug, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast once again.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure to spend time with you.
Good. Well, we are all saddened. The three of us here had big plans to come out to your event, and due to this horrendous change in events, this virus has kind of shattered those dreams, and now here we sit just on the quadcast talking amongst ourselves.
Bored like we've been all year.
I know. So we even geared up. I had some planes that were all ready to go, bring out, and so why don't you run us through what was on the books and what happened and why is it not happening? Well, we all know why it's not happening, but kind of bring it up to speed.
Well, yeah. So, of course, we host our event in a public park where we're partnered with our flying club, and North Carolina had their phase 2 reopening plan, which limited outdoor gatherings, and that kind of lingered around a little farther like it did in a lot of areas. And so the park was canceling their events and not really doing anything. And then we just decided that ours probably wasn't going to happen either. So we kind of rolled back and didn't do a lot of, promoting. We didn't get it off the AMAs out of the publication soon enough, but that's, we did have to cancel officially and they put that in, but so we're looking forward to doing a restart next year. So I guess officially it'll still be our 4th annual Wings Over Springs fly in, but we'll just forget 2020.
Yeah. Let's all forget 2020. It's been one of those horrendous years, but well, that's good news because it gives us once again a chance to kind of book our flights and get everything situated where we can come out and have a good time, and maybe this year we won't get our signs lost in the mail.
Yeah, I won't tell you any more stories about anything like that.
Okay, no problem. Well, in case everybody was wondering, last year we had some of these little signs. I sent them to Doug. They went to the wrong address, and it was kind of a fiasco. So this year we'll actually get the right address, and I think he's friends with the Walgreens people now. We'll just send it to Walgreens, right? They can pick it up there.
Yeah, who knew that they accept FedEx packages?
Yeah, well, I think it's a
You
lot
should
of
tell someone.
Yeah, that's right. You should.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, we are happy to have you on the show, and sad that Wings Over Springs did get canceled this year. But I think a lot of the big events got canceled, and I think it's just par for the course. So this will give us 2021 will be bigger and better, and I think we'll look for bigger and better things out of North Carolina.
Yes.
So Jay tells me that you got a new toy.
I did. I didn't need much. I did not need much persuading. I bought a 3D printer.
Oh. I told you not to do
I'm
it.
sorry, it wasn't a big build-up for the reveal there, but I had been researching these a little bit, and saying, hey, would that be an interesting tool to have in the workshop?
Mm-hmm.
Not that I wanted to, because I realize there's a component of this hobby with 3D printing that it's fiddle with it, and fiddle with it can be the hobby itself. And and then I heard some of the other podcasts with their 3D printers. I think they were trying to print bigger parts, airplane parts, and they had some setup issues and problems. And then Jay started having problems, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's the COVID of 3D printers. There's a problem out there. Maybe not. And then one day I'm in my local hobby shop, just giving a plug to our local Hangar 18 here. And I had a conversation with the owner and mentioned something about his 3D printing. He said, oh yeah, let me show you what I bought. And he took me in the back and had like a little print farm going on there. And so that kind of got me focused on what brand to buy. And then I realized that, there's a lot of those out there, and several club members have this type of machine. And Jay tried to convince me to buy some other type of machine. Then Mike weighed in with his ideas. I got confused. It delayed my purchase for a few days.
Oh no.
I take all responsibility for that.
It's all Mike's fault.
Yeah. So I'm like, time out. And then the machine I wanted was temporarily out of stock. I don't know. It was on the boat from China and finally got unloaded. But anyway, I got an Ender 3 V2. And gosh, I set it up out of the box, and Jay deemed my prints perfecto. I've been printing with he's like, dude, you are up and printing in record time. You have avoided like months of fiddling.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Jay secretly hates you. We won't say this on the air. I'm sorry I outed you there, Jay, but he secretly hates you for how easy that was for you.
I know nothing. I mean, he was, it's just like everything. It's like, come on, guys. I just want to print out a little stupid, a benchy,
Oh, there you go.
The camera. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's got one of these. That's your first. So we always remember
exactly.
that. So, yeah.
And I'm not for Jay to be alone. I hate you too, because I had trouble with my first printer too. And you're like, oh yeah, I just put it on, turn it on, and it worked. It's like, okay, what are you guys talking about?
Well, that was my thing. Is I'm like, my wife would tell you just flat out, he does not need another hobby. And I'm like, what I want is some capability to do some fiddling, not in a fiddle with machine type of way, but make some things, right? It's like why I have a table saw, drill press, it's capability, guys.
Right.
It's the shop can make it, right? I'm never down, right? So there's like a pride in, hey, the air conditioner doesn't work. Well, Daddy's out there with the welder, getting it done.
It may not look pretty, but it works.
What's that burning smell? I don't know. Your dad.
That's my other daughter will point out. Don't go near that thing, because she's seen what can happen, right? Measure twice, cut once.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It's worse than that sometimes.
Well, I have yet to pull the trigger, so I'm waiting for the three of you guys to finally get it all worked out, and then I'll be able to go,
Well, I figured you probably didn't have one, and you were being silent, and probably the back and forth with Jay, and Mike's like, cut me out of this conversation.
Well, Doug, all he has to do for whenever he needs something 3D printed, he calls me up and goes, I need this valve thing. It looks kind of like this.
Yep.
And, and then a couple of days later in the mail, it shows up.
That's right.
So far, everything that he's, not just for me, he also has two or three friends right there in Arizona that print out whatever he needs, or if he's grumbling about something isn't quite right, and the next thing you know, he has a part or two. So Why get a printer when your parts just show up in the mail, or whatever on your doorstep?
I just watched the movie Great Escape, and this reminds me. He's like Henley. He's the guy who's the scrounger. So he just knows where the stuff is. He doesn't have to do anything. He just goes and talks to people and he gets it.
Well, I'm no good at that. I feel like that's a deficiency. I need to have the capability. I can produce it myself. Whatever.
Well, in my own defense, I have to say that out of the four of us on the screens, I'm probably the biggest idiot of the bunch. So the fact that you guys were able to figure all that out and I'm not, that's why I'm a scrounger, right? I can just go say, hey, I have no idea how this stuff works. So just make something for me, will you?
Well, that was kind of my approach. I mean, that was kind of Jay was like, if he was upset, he wasn't showing it, but he's like, dude, that was out of the box.
Yeah.
You printed.
He was upset.
Yeah, he wasn't upset. That was just me making
this little calibration cube. He's like, what's the measurements on this? He's like, my God, man.
It's not off of 1/8 inch or anything. He's like, no, it's like spot on. I was like, wow.
No, it's like I got the precision engineering factory over here.
You do.
Yeah,
I will tell you that he was only slightly upset because after he spent all that time on the phone with you, he called me up and goes, you are not going to believe this. His stuff printed perfectly right out of the box. After 3 months of him going back and forth, get his machine to work. He was like, it was short-lived. He was more excited about the fact that you got it than that it worked right out of the box. But there was a little bit of
there's a little bit of envy. But once again, there was a little bit of pride in there too because I did help set him up for success. I pointed him to the right videos, how to assemble his machine. 2 or 3 videos on that. Because your machine did have a couple of little quirks for putting it together. It just you just didn't shake the box. Yeah. I will give Jay credit. He gave me the assembly video to watch to get it set up right. And so I don't want to touch anything on it because I don't want to go through that again. But I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it right over here. It probably won't print the same again since I'm talking about it in the positive light tonight. Something will happen. So thanks.
I got it. I'll knock on wood right here. We got it right there. I just knocked on wood. It's all good.
No, but that was really the key was just the preparation work. I mean, you got a great design. That was part of it. But, taking time to look at the stuff, to prep, to make sure you had success has definitely paid off. You've definitely beaten the curve for most people by at least a good month or so with just not having to, recalibrate your machine off and on, the extruder, this, that, and the other little thing. So, my hat's off to the Creality guys for the design for the V2, taking all the recommendations of all the people who came before you to put into that machine so that you could have the success that you're having, and you're printing out more. Now you're dealing more with the CAD programs and or the STL files that you're getting off of Thingiverse, trying to figure those out. You're spending your time with that stuff as opposed to thinking with your machine, or why is it not extruding the stuff I want, or why isn't it printing this? Why is it printing in the air?
And so you get a new tool capability, right? You get excited to use it, and as I was getting this thing and I had assembled it, about that time, I had an airplane repair that was needed, right? Mm-hmm. I said, aha, I got an idea. I'll design something that's basically the fix for this thing. And then somebody chimed in because I was sharing the picture. They said, dude, just cut some foam out and carve it and put it back together. So I did that.
There you go.
Because I'm like, I don't know the CAD program. This is going to be a little bit challenging.
Right. And that's when you first got the machine. You only had the machine for a week when that happened too, right?
I know.
Yeah. But Doug, I don't think you should be that guy's friend anymore. The guy who gives you that other answer, he doesn't know anything about being a friend.
That's right.
Well, it was
not a very good enabler.
It was a found plane in the park, and they said, "Oh, well, somebody lost it. They might want it. I'll fix it." I was bored. I wanted to work on something, So, you always get a good repair every now and then, right? Nothing like some epoxy foam and just start letting the dust fly.
10 sticks of glue and
exactly.
Foam and
full bag of glue sticks. You can't go wrong. Well, Eric over at 3D Aero Ventures has always talked very highly about the Enders. I think he has a little 3D farm going on there at his place full of Enders as well. So I know that they're good products. They do work fairly, right out of the box kind of thing. And it's amazing to see. Matter of fact, you had that little thing that you just had before on our pre-show. You were holding up that F14. So if you're
this little thing. So what's kind of cool is you can download certain things when they print in place. Like this prints. I'm sorry, you can't see this prints like this.
Right.
And then it actually articulates. So it you don't have to do anything other. This like comes off the print bed, and these little wings can fold out.
That is amazing.
Did anybody see that? I have to see if that's.
Yeah, there you go. All right, perfect.
Yeah. Isn't everyone excited by that? That's like, wow. Ooh,
yeah,
wow.
that is.
No,
wow,
but it is pretty exciting in the sense that you can
like,
print
it like
a
that.
part
You
in a
just
part.
put it together.
The need for speed, the low
There you
fly.
go. That's it. The
Somebody
fly
spill their coffee. Yeah. At any rate.
Well, if you were not able to see the little swing wings on the F14 that he just demonstrated, head on over to our YouTube channel at the Park Flyer Podcast YouTube and subscribe there, and you can actually see the video of his flying tower there.
Are you saying that people don't have imagination, Mike?
No, they can have imagination, but I know that some people are frustrated because they want to see the tower fly by. And
yeah, they do. They do.
I can spill on myself if you want me to.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys, little Top Gun. Speaking of which, I think it was supposed to come out, and due to COVID, the Top Gun 2 has been delayed too. I'm all
2001.
I know, it's a bomb.
Yeah, when is it going to be? Next summer?
Next summer.
Yeah, next summer.
That's what I thought. Yeah, somebody tried to tell me Christmas, and I said, no, I don't think so.
They had moved it to Christmas, and I think they're going to wait until the summertime. It's more of a summer movie, I think, than a holiday movie.
So Doug, one of the things I was just thinking about that printing in place for RC stuff. Like I said, if you were doing stuff with your canopy, or you wanted to make like a hidden hinge, or some part to your park flyer. I mean, that's just a fantastic little tool just to go, hey, I can make a part in a part.
Mm-hmm.
And make something work. And that, to me, is just really exciting because it's hard to wrap your head around it that you can make something inside of something and have it print out. It's
right.
It's neat. It's weird, and kind of weird to think about it doing. So,
yeah.
But I will tell one little quick story. Doug and I, like I said, every weekend we've been talking back and forth. I'm like, hey, what are you printing, or what are you trying to do? And he'll tell me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm working on this. And so last weekend or so, I had a problem with my weed whacker, and it turned out that I was missing a simple spring. And it was late in the afternoon. I didn't feel like driving to town to go get one of these springs, or having to drive into Austin or something. So I was like, I wonder if I can print out a spring and just stick it in there. I mean, it didn't need like a huge compression spring. It just needed a light little spring to give some tension on this part. So I went on Thingiverse, and I downloaded a couple of springs that I thought would work, and I was reshaping them so they'd fit in the spot. So I sent what I was doing to Doug, and Doug was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just printing out the spring." And he's like, "Yeah, man, that's not going to work." And usually Doug doesn't say like. Usually he's what's the word I'm looking for? He tries to get you excited, or he's trying to pump you up and make sure go, yeah, you could probably do that, or give you some suggestions. But this is the first time he was like, yeah, that ain't gonna work, dude. Go get the spring. And I'm just like, what? No, man, it's gonna work. And we're just texting back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's just gonna work. I'm just gonna print this out. And he's like, yeah, no, man, it ain't gonna work. And so I messed with this thing for the whole evening, trying to get the springs to work. And some of the springs came out like solid plugs because I couldn't get the supports apart. It was just a whole calamity of errors. The spring that I finally did get to work, I had no compression. It just was a total flop failure. It was a waste of plastic. And so when I finally talked to him a couple of days ago, he goes, "Hey, how'd that spring thing work out for you?" And I go, "Yeah, not so good, buddy." And he just started laughing. He goes, "Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to work." He goes, "Did you take any engineering?" And I'm like, "No, I did not." And he goes, "Yeah, that was quite evident because, here's the formula for it. And, based upon that was never going to work." And I'm like, well, not an engineer, bud.
But he wasn't listening. He wasn't listening to that. He's like, I got to finish the yard. I got to finish the yard.
Yeah, you got to understand, Doug, that was a way for him to get out of the weed whacking part because it would take all day to do that spring. He was outside. It was too hot. He's like, dude, I got to find a way to stop this. So that's when he went in there. That's why there was no listening to it. Because normally if you say it doesn't work, one of two things happen. He'll say, yeah, you know what? It's not going to work. Or two, he'll be like, oh, why not? And then you explain it and he'll go, okay, that makes sense. It's not going to work. He just totally blew you off. That's his way of getting out of weed whacking. Until tomorrow morning.
Obviously somebody who's known me for 30 years. Oh, boy.
Yeah,
so it takes
so
much for that story.
Exactly.
Back away from the power tool. Back away from the power tool.
No, actually, Jay is one of those guys where when you tell him that you can't do something, he'll bite into that and just be like, oh, I'm going to do this regardless. And then 4 days later, he hasn't slept. His eyeballs are all, wagged out. And he's like, look what I made. Probably that big. And it finally just, goes in and out like just a millimeter. But I made it work. It won't work for what I'm doing, but I got it spring. So I showed you.
Right. I win.
That's why I'm an American.
Yeah, he's looking forward to it. So, well, it's funny because thinking back many years ago, and Jay and I first started talking about this 3D printing thing, and he showed some interest in it. What got us on the 3D printing kick in general, believe it or not, was control horns.
Yep.
Because we had I think it was the Tough Wings or something, and the Tough Wings made these little wooden control horns, and they broke so easy. I mean, it just, as soon as it hit the ground, they just bust. And so Jay and I were like, man, if you could just make these out of something that would not break so easy, like some plastic or metal. And we tried all different kinds of stuff. I finally went to Home Depot, and Mike loves it when we do this because if we have an idea, we're like, hey, let's go to Home Depot, and we'll walk around. And he's like, what's in Home Depot? I mean, why are you walking around there? I'm like, I'm trying to get ideas, Well, what we came upon was a doorstop. Door stops. Now, they sell two different types. They sell a doorstop that's rubber, right? It's a big fat one, and it sticks under there. And they sell another one that's out of this compressed, like composite rubbery stuff. And it's really, really strange, but it's very flat, and it's kind of it's stiff, and it's this really weird material. But it does have some flexibility to it. So Jay and I found it. It was $1, I think, right?
Yeah.
It was $1 or $2. We bought a couple, and we traced it out, and we cut it. And it's been on my Tough Wing for however many years we've had those things. I don't think it's ever busted. But it was just a doorstop. And as a matter of fact, I had one sitting on my desk back here when I switched out to this room. But I found it the other day. I was like, hey, look what I found. And I bought like 3 of them, on the off chance that this thing would bust.
Yep.
And I've never had to replace it ever. I think Jay had. Do you have those on yours?
Yeah,
too?
they're still on mine.
So anyway, go figure. I mean, that's how the whole 3D thing, because we started thinking about it. The whole Home Depot story was just because there was no 3D printer, available for us to purchase it less than $1,000,
right? Yeah, $1,000 for a 30-cent part.
Right,
make $1 control horn. But yeah, that's
or it's a $10. It's a $10 kit for the one part that you need, right?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
that's kind of how we got. That's kind of how Jay got. This whole thing about well, we could make stuff and control horns, and then it got to we started. I think we were driving somewhere, and we just started talking about all the things you can make with a 3D printer. And he's like, "Dude, I'm getting one of those. When the price comes down, I'm going to go ahead and grab one." And then he did with all those problems, and I think he's got a little bit of jealousy going on for yours, but.
Well, here's what you have here. You got Jay, early adopter. You got Mike, semi-early adopter, and you got Smart, Doug, right. Waiting for everybody else to do it. Smart.
Smart.
I know.
Who's the smart one in this group? Ding.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Actually,
we'll see.
For me, I was when Jay got his and was having so many problems. I was I kind of was in on all that, and I was trying to help him out. And I started looking at 3D printers just to kind of see, well, if he bought this one, what could you get, to make some other stuff? And so I started looking at the different commercialized 3D printers because it's just something that I have to be the biggest and baddest kind of thing, and I mean, everybody, this is kind of cool, but you can't see it, but that's my printer. Can you see that?
Ah.
It's a big Roland. Anyway, I that was all that does is cut paint masks out. So there you go, $10,000 unit to just cut paint mask and vinyl. But anyway,
the mask is only a penny.
That's it. And it's just super thin stuff, it's just this little clear stuff that you cut it out. But yeah, you're right. Anyway, long story short, I started looking at it. I found Jay a new 3D printer. So
I sure did.
I sent it to him and I said, "Here, dude, get rid of that little piece of crap you got in your room and get this one
and mortgage the house." He
mortgage both our house.
I have to mention that. He said mortgage the house.
And mortgage the house because it was $1.1 million for the 3D printer. 100 million. It printed, what did I tell you it did? It printed the metal superchargers for Ferrari. That's what it did. Because each one of them is custom made. But it printed out the entire aluminum housing for these custom-made turbochargers that they put on these engines. So the fact that this technology is, that was what was fascinating to me, is just the technology has come so far that you can buy a machine that will actually, print aluminum, right? Because, extruded aluminum has got to have a pretty high temperature to it to be able to get it to do that. And then to print something as intricate as a turbocharger, which is going to rotate at 60,000 revolutions or higher, and to get it to be able to stay together is amazing to me. Just the level of detail. My buddy Spencer bought one of those that dips down. What do they call those, Jay? Resin printer. And the level of detail that thing comes up with is just phenomenal. So it's still a new technology in my head, but I know that there's been, they've been out there for a long time. It is amazing to me to see what can actually be done. So I'm excited for you. I think it just gives me another place to call and say, "Hey, Doug, how about this project?"
Yeah. So I think the discovery on, I told Jay, I said, I'm waiting for, the project that's going to come because I need something, right? Like I'm working on something and I'm like, oh, hey, I can actually do that. And then I'll maybe need to use Tinkercad or something to draw something up, and that's simple. Anyway, but I guess I'm, breadth, not depth, with kind of my knowledge of a lot of things. So I sound like I'm very informed, but it's really paper thin. So don't press too hard; you might poke a hole.
Well,
because Jay, I think so. Everyone talks about you draw your thing in a CAD program. You get an STL file, and in order to get it so that you can print it, you have to put it through a thing called a slicer.
Right.
And so the slicer that Jay likes, many of the slicers, you can customize them, right? Do different things. There's all these settings. And this one has I don't know, if you've expanded everything, I don't know if you have maybe 500 settings that you can tweak.
There's quite
I think he's probably tweaked 400 of them to find the optimal setup. But, it's a lot I couldn't do that. I need to print something. So I just had to go with the defaults, and I'm like, this is pretty good. And that's when he got mad at me because I showed him this cube again. See this cube? He's like, man, how much tweaking did you do? I'm like, dude, this is right out of the box anyway. So you can do it. You can don't get confused by all the detail. Just go do it. Print that thing out.
There you go. Well, you got to understand when Jay got his, he opened the box, the LED screen that was supposed to have all the directions on it didn't work. So that was the first, little fiasco that he was like, oh crap, how do I read the directions? So the whole setup was done, blind in his case. So, but I will tell you that I've been, sitting in front of that thing, and it is amazing. We'll actually have to, what we ought to do, Jay, is get your Raspberry Pi thing that, to videotape something that's printing and post it on our YouTube channel.
I guess I can do that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. If there's some, cool thing that somebody wants them to print.
Yeah, even the thing that holds the camera that he's using to video stuff has been 3D printed.
That's true.
I mean, that
is true.
I love stuff like that. A lot of Jay's printers, the add-ons, like when he gave me my first printer for Christmas, and I was like, hey, what are all these yellow parts? He goes, oh, those are parts I printed. I was like, what? Yeah, before it just went like this, and it was kind of floppy, and it didn't really work very well. So I printed those other parts because they're improvements, and they were. I mean, they're really awesome improvements, and they've really made a huge difference. In fact, I think we talked about it in a previous podcast where I had to reprint a piece, and the only way I could reprint it was by holding the piece in place so that I could print the piece I was holding in place.
Right.
Yeah.
And even that piece came out crappy, but after I printed that piece, I could use that crappy piece to print a nicer one.
Right.
So it was just sort of
it was a slow approach, like a docking or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It was his PTF tube that goes feeds from the extruder into the hot end, and it broke on one end, so it was able to slide with the filament in it. Mm-hmm. So he had to hold the PTF tube still so that the filament could go in without dragging and pulling on that thing until it printed out the part. So pretty comical. Luckily, it was only a 15-minute print, so he was there. First, he tried to use duct tape. That didn't work, but nothing sticks to that PTF tube. It just slides off since it's Teflon.
Well, it's amazing how much pressure is being pushed and pulled through that tube too. Like it really does. I mean, you really have to put some pressure to keep it in spot. And that tube's a little slippery too. But I mean, yeah. So once I was done printing, I was like, thank God.
My hand's all cramped up.
That's right.
Funny. Yeah. Well, do you have? Now that you've got it, you've kind of played with it a little bit. What do you see yourself using it for in the RC market? I mean, do you have some big project coming up, or is there?
Well, no. Okay, so one thing I wanted to use it for, back when I came to the Arizona Electric Festival, and I got enamored by Scott Todd's retro of the vintage radios, and I bought I bought a Kraft Sports Series radio on eBay that was very much. I had a 4-channel when I got in the hobby. This was a 6-channel, and I said, I'd like to update this thing to 2.4, but I wasn't really sure how, and I just kind of put it to the side. But then when I saw what he had done and how he went about doing it with all the components, that was my February project. And he shared some STL files with me that were like, a little holder that would make like a retro antenna cradle for the 2.4. So it looked like the original Kraft. And then some inside things to hold it. It's an Arduino board that's running a script and everything. So anyway, now I've got the capability to print those out. I mean, that wasn't the justification for buying the printer, but in terms of, I've got a couple other radios that I want to do the same retrofit on them. And, I just thought it was fun, and that occupied my lockdown February. Actually, that was pre-lockdown. That was being hopeful. Huh? Like
any smart married man, you probably promised your wife a bunch of stuff that you're going to print out for her once you got it, right?
Well, when I told her I was getting this, she rolled her eyes. So
she knows and loves you.
So you're going to get her some eye closers, right? Eye closers.
Or glass.
Yeah.
Can't see it anymore. Just print out glasses that you can't see through. Go, here you go. This will take care of it. Let's see.
That's right. So, So, there's that. But this has been a crazy hobby season. I mean, again, probably for all of us. But that retrofit thing, getting kind of into the weeds of that, and I actually, when did I make? I guess it was April by the time I was able to finish that project in Maiden, because we were off of the severest lockdown, and we kind of had to. We shut down our field because we stopped kind of our organized meetups, because we were getting probably 15 or 20, people that were curious what we're doing. And, when the gathering limits were 5 or less, or no more than 2, we didn't want to be, accused of breaking the stay-at-home order. So we just kind of randomly disbanded from our flying activities. That was kind of cool to do that project.
Cool. Wow.
But I think I'll be, probably making some plain parts and things.
Well, you already made one. You've been experimenting with some whistles, right?
Actually, this is really stupid, right? But the very first thing, like, as soon as I got this thing set up, I said, Jay, I got to find a whistle. I need a whistle. Because some guys take those Nerf whistling football things and they bust the whistle out of there and they put it on their plane. And sometimes I guess they put them on EDFs, give it kind of the turbine sound.
Yep.
So Jay hooked me up with a couple Thingiverse things, and I printed out some whistles, and of course I put them on my my favorite airplane, my Zorro wing, which has got more holes in it than Swiss cheese. So, and I put these whistles on it, dadgummit, I'm flying that thing around, and of course, it's a pusher delta, right? So the prop noise is just yeah. So I'm like, hey guys, can you hear that whistle? They're like, I don't know if I can hear that whistle. Then I realized that I didn't have my whistles like up enough in the airstream. So then I'm experimenting with that, all to get this stupid thing to make a noise, other than the that kind of a noise. But I've got these new, smaller and better whistles they're nice. So they're going to go on the Zorro Wing next, because the other ones I printed out were a little fatter, a little wider, Actually, Jay, when I put them together, Jay said, I think that one part's upside down.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he sent me a picture of that. He goes, hey,
good God, guys. I mean, I'm like, damn it. I'm sorry. I just shouldn't say that on this podcast, but you can bleep that out. But anyway, so.
That's funny. Well, when you were at the Electric Festival, did I not fly I thought I flew the A10. Didn't I fly the A10?
You did. I think so, yeah.
That one has 2 sets of whistles per engine. So yeah, when you pull the throttle back, you hear that little alternate. It's not quite the same, but it's like that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Nerf whistles. But unfortunately for me, I had to actually buy like 3 Nerf balls, and they're $20 a piece. So that was $2, $4, $6, $60.
That's worth 6 rolls of filament right there, or 3 rolls of filament.
So you got that.
I only spent $300 on the printer.
Right. There you go.
Well, look at this. You've already made back your money if you want to look at it that way.
Filament. That was a penny.
Well, luckily now I have an unlimited source of whistles. So,
so now Doug can have 8 whistles on his plane. It'd be fine. Right. It's still only 8 cents.
Put them on.
So not to glorify failure, because it was a success. That thing, it whistles. So underneath that, all that loud prop noise, which is like 3 times louder than the whistle tone. That's a turbine sound there, my friends, and it's zooming through the park at 25 miles an hour, sounding like an idling.
Now can you set that up at a high altitude and then come swooping down and have the whistle play only?
Okay, experiment number 3 that failed. Because the prop windmills, right? And when it windmills, it's as loud as when you got power on it. So now I got to figure out how to do the ESC brake.
Yep.
Yeah.
All to get this stupid thing to whistle. But you're right. I took it way up there, less than 400 feet, just to be clear. Straight dive at the ground. I'm like, can you hear it? I'm like, everybody's got their ears on the flight line. I'm like, stand back, 5 pilots up here at a time. At any rate, I think they were humoring me, because you know how when you get older, you lose some of those frequencies, right?
Yep.
I think
that's right. They're all going, hey, yeah, we can hear it. They're all like,
I'm not your friend in that whole thing. Yeah, can you hear the whistle? Never. Never happening.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure people are like, this guy's nuts. I'm like, gosh, dog, can't this thing make a noise? Come on. I'm like I'm pushed. It was really windy that day, right? So I'm like full throttle into the wind. Like now I got like double the relative wind over. Come on, whistle, And then one of my engineering friends said, well, dude, you got to put those whistles on the leading edge so it's in clean air. So I'm like, now give me a knife, and I'm cutting more holes in my plane. Put them on the leading edge. It was not as loud as before.
Oh no!
But again, entertainment, right?
That's entertainment. It. Well, I will tell you that unfortunately, those whistles are meant for low airflow, not high airflow. Because remember, they come out of a football, and the football is only spinning at a low rate. So if you put it like right on the front edge of the wing, there's so much air coming across the whistle, it won't whistle.
All of my faith was in Jay to tell me these secrets, and I got was a file.
I know it worked on the EDF. I didn't know you were sticking on it.
To the real pilot that had us the degree in aeronautics. I'm just a mechanical engineer, man. It wasn't underwater, like in the flow of a creek or something.
That's where I fly my plane.
Okay, so
that's where mine end up.
Just for clarity, your listeners are saying, "Well, what's he talking about?" But so that's why this little whistle, when I just breathe on this thing, it's like, wow, that's a loud whistle. Why is it not loud in the sky?
That's correct. Yes. So, if you have an air compressor, take the air compressor and
I do
pump it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, turn it up to whatever your highest setting is, and then blow it across there, and you'll hear that the whistle doesn't blow.
Oh my God!
If you hold that whistle up again, you'll see that it's only this tall, right? And if I'm not mistaken, there should be a bottom where your thumb is, right? Is it? It's
there
not,
is. Oh, there is.
So right.
Sorry,
So think about it this way: the amount of air that goes into that tube has to come out of the tube.
Oh man!
And so if you're trying to put this volume, 3 times the amount of air into there, right, exactly. So if you blow it really slow, it'll actually whistle really loud. If you blow it really hard, you won't hear it at all. But yeah, unfortunately, on the EDFs themselves, we actually put them far enough back that they're almost not quite sticking out of the back of it, but they're far enough from the EDF.
The vortex or something, right?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, the football, when you throw the football, you'll notice if you throw it really hard, you don't get near as good of a whistle as if you just kind of whiff it over there, and it's like, woo, 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 it whistles much better.
Well, okay, so
that's why I thought I had such a good arm, because when I threw that ball, like a little wussy, it's just like whistle, like, yeah, buddy, I got it.
Okay, so it's not more power, more speed.
No. Mm-mm.
And
it's completely un-American.
That is
completely.
Yeah, all right. So I probably get a louder whistle on a hand launch as it dives into the turf than I do when I dive from 500 feet at Mach 2.
Right. Yeah. So
the question would be then is what size whistle would make a loud noise with that velocity? Probably a big whistle.
Yeah, you would have.
You're a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know the formula.
No, I don't know that formula. I know the spring formula, though. That's one physics thing I remembered, and Jay reminded me.
Yep. Right. You whipped that one out on me, and I was like, whoa, nope,
think about it as when you're a kid and you played the recorder as well. The recorder is like this long, and if you blew real hard in the recorder, you didn't get near as good of a sound as if you blew really soft. So you still have a long tube. You would have to have something that was really, really long, and then you would have to have an opening that was far enough that the airflow could come in and then come back out. It would do that.
Actually, the best thing probably for him to do would be to put a ball inside of.
Yes, you could put a ball inside it. That would work.
Talk to me, my friends. What is this? What is this thing
your kids play ball or coach or whatever. The coach has got the whistle, and the whistle is really small, right? It's got.
I see. Yes.
Inside that whistle is a ball.
Yeah,
and
right.
What the ball does is it disrupts the airflow from compacting inside that whistle. So that's why.
Get out of here, Air. Get out of here.
Yeah, you're trying to pass the air over the opening and not fill the opening. You're trying to put air into it and then get it to vacate at the same time. And that little S turn across there creates that duct. That's why an F-16, a real live F-16, if you hear it when it's taxiing, it has like this high pitched, just this shrill of a siren sound. It's because the ducting is flat, and then it makes a 90-degree and a 90-degree turn, just like a whistle. So as it's sucking air through there, you're hearing that airflow make that change in direction, and that's what the whistle will do for you. So if you put a little ball in there, you might be able to get it. Now, I don't know the numbers. You're the engineer guy. I don't know what the number.
All right, we'll talk more. I was trying to avoid the math on this thing, but you guys now I got to jam a BB in here. I'll print it.
You can do that.
You can do it. Yeah.
You're going to tell me I need supports.
No. Maybe not. No.
You print it from the bottom
if
up.
It's small enough.
Just drop.
Probably not if it's small enough. Yeah.
I don't know if a BB may be too heavy.
Oh yeah, I was joking, but yeah, okay. The ball.
But, you'd have to have some sort of a little ball that goes in there. So, But anyway, yeah. So I will tell you that the A10 has a much better whistle sound when it's taxiing out.
Do you want to wait?
During takeoff, and if you're taking off, you can't hardly hear the whistle at all. So the best way to hear the whistle is if I come by and do a really slow approach.
Okay.
Just barely slow. Then it has that off whistle. The other thing too is that you're dealing with one frequency, and you really need to deal with two. So you should have a tall one and a medium sized one.
That's what I had in the original one that Jay had hooked me up. It was two sizes.
Yeah, so that's why the math was already done on the Vortex football. That's why I just yanked them out of there. But I will tell you that I learned the hard way too, because I was had it on my grinder and I was taking off the foam because it's glued on, and and I touched it a little bit too close and ground off the corner of the round, where it makes the hole, or it made a hole in the bottom.
Okay.
And that whistle is worthless now. Because if the airflow goes all the way through, it never comes back out. So it'll just go in, and then it never whistles. So you have to have
to patch it with glue.
Barrel.
I
tried to
patch it with glue
on there, but it just didn't sound right because now the cylinder's oblong and it's
right. It's got its own disruption inside. Yeah, I get it.
Yep. But yeah, sorry, you just had to come to the right guy, I guess, to understand.
All right, let's see. Neely, delete from phone.
No Christmas card. Dang.
He's off. He's out.
I was on the list. I was up here.
Now
I'm down here.
Well, it didn't start as an engineering question, but by experimentation, the math matters.
So what you should know too, though, Doug, is that he didn't call me.
Yeah,
he didn't even mention the spring to me until after the whole failure situation came in, and it came out like accidentally. He's like, "Oh, I didn't really want to talk about that because it was, something."
Right. That's stupid. So I don't know if you remember at the Electric Festival, but the A10 has a much better sound when it's taxiing along than when it's full throttle. So the low airflow, you can kind of look at mathematics in there. I know we talked about putting a ball in there like a regular whistle, but you just have to kind of experiment. But I would put them probably outside of the leading edge, a little further back where the airflow kind of starts slowing down, and then just make sure you put the two different sizes. You'll get that alternating frequency, and it'll sound. And then when you come by, fly a low pass that's slow, a slow and low pass. You'll get a much higher resonance off those whistles than if you come down and you're just screaming. So anyway, give it a try, and then you can delete Jay off your Christmas list now that he didn't tell you the right way.
Well, I think my friend is an engineer, and I will admonish him for telling me to do the opposite of what you just said, because I, my friend, had my whistles back from the leading edge at the CG, and they were louder there, per your point, Mike. Me not knowing why, though. Again,
right.
Recovering engineer. Any rate,
I'm not an engineer,
but you understand airflow and aerodynamics, and I just fly these daggum planes, so I don't know.
There you go. No problem. Well, the reason that they weren't really going off when you had them really close to the body either is because what they call laminar flow. Laminar flow is when the airflow comes across the wing. You actually have a layer that doesn't do anything between where the airflow is moving and the surface. It's very minuscule. I mean, it's just millimeters. But if you have it sandwiched into the wing, then you have no airflow going over the whistle. So it's got to be up just high enough to catch the air that's out of that laminate layer and just barely catches it. And then you'll get, it's not going to be incredibly loud because, it's a very short whistle. It's not going to be as loud as your coach, when you're out on the ball field with that.
And definitely you want to use a tractor feed as opposed to a pusher that with a little itty bitty prop that's sounding like a dozen angry bees. It's just too much noise to overcome.
I know. So
put them on your glider, and then when you're gliding around, you'll hear that it'll be really loud. It'll whistle all over the place on the glider because it's just up there hanging around, and you don't have to worry about the motor, right? You can turn the motor off.
That's right.
So, don't you have a walrus or something? I think you could stick them on your walrus. That'd be pretty funny. Maybe I should do that. I'll put it on my night walrus, and then
you go.
Yeah, it'll be going through the night or whatever. So
whistling death.
At night.
Yeah, you could do it like on your night walrus. Yeah, and it's like kill all the lights, whistle by Jay's head. Hey, Jay, take the plane.
Yeah. I might have to do that. See, Jay will have to.
Jay will be in the hospital.
Safely, though. Safely.
He'll be in the hospital.
Yeah, but so what you should do, because, you had the stealth mode, right? With the walrus, where you could turn the switch and the lights go out for the night flying. You need to do the on-off with the whistle. If the whistle works really effectively, you're like, lights off, whistle on, lights off, Any rate.
There we go.
That might sound pretty cool if you get in trouble and they're like crashing. It might be like.
Yeah, like a Stuka.
Exactly.
Help me. Oh, that's too
well,
funny.
Actually, I've seen the sirens for those that are 3D printable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, that's what I've been looking for, my friend.
Is that what you want? Okay, then I'll hook you up and I will send you the STLs and where I got them from.
Now that's a whole different.
It'll be this big on a plane that's this big, Yeah.
No, you can miniaturize it. I'm sure with that engineering mind of yours, I'm sure you can make it work.
Well, we've seen how well that engineering mind works.
Hopefully, you can fix the holes in your airplane. That you drill out a hole. It looks like Swift Bead.
Yeah, they're.
He could print. He could print new hole plugs. All the plugs.
Bingo.
Mike wins. Winner, chicken dinner. Oh my gosh! Well, we know that you will be successful at it.
Exactly.
You have that unique ability to be successful, and we wish you the best on this little venture with your 3D hobby. Once you get all that stuff worked out, we're going to send you over to 3D Aero Ventures, and you can print out this big airplane and let us know how it works.
Or you can print out one of the small ones.
Okay, this is the question, though. So they have kits that I can print on my Ender, right? I don't have to go big, go large, right?
No, okay. Nope. He's got little micros that you can do it. Yeah, just shoot Eric basically an email and tell him you were on this episode and 3daeroventures.com and he'll give you all the the lowdown on how to get that stuff working.
Okay. Then I'll be in the fiddle mode, right?
That's it.
Fiddling and tweaking. Jay will be like, yes, try to print that the first time.
And you will. And then you're going to be like, hey, Jay, this isn't that hard. It just worked.
Yeah, it'll be this again.
Yeah, it just worked. Look at that. Ding. This beautiful plane while I sit over there with a lump of plastic.
Where's the end of this string? I don't know where this is.
Hey, so I think when we were talking before, though, I think you were also saying that for your club, you've been having a small problem. You're getting too many members? Yeah. You're just having people bother you every time you go out there?
Well, no, I didn't say that. They're listeners here, so I did not say that. What I said was, no, we actually, this is very encouraging for the hobby because, first of all, in our area, we're blessed with 3 local hobby shops within 10 or 15 miles of my house. So very accessible hobby shops that carry a full line of all the RC gear. So earlier this year, we made like a calling card, a little business card for our club to put in with the, hey, somebody buys a model, tell them, hey, they can get, talk to us about flight instruction. And Jason and I we signed up for the Horizon Coach program, which is a fantastic model for training folks to get kind of have fun and safe, get up, get down, enjoy it. And we probably get a couple inquiries a month. For a while, it was a couple a week. And usually on a Saturday, we're back stronger than we were before the lockdown. I mean, people are getting gifts. And we actually had a 9-year-old come out with a Cub that he bought on I don't know if it was eBay or Amazon for $60. And it was a 3-channel, but no safe, no flight stabilization or anything, and he's flying it around like a champ, doinking into the ground, toss it back up. He's flying it around, not getting confused with the controls. And his mom was there, and I said, "Hey, he's flying really great. How long has he been doing this?" She said, "It's the first time."
Yeah, including today.
I'm like, "Well, I'm going to pack up."
Yeah, exactly. Thanks a lot, kid.
But he's like, hey, she's like, well, yeah, can the kids join the club? I'm like, well, yeah, if he wants to. I mean, blah, blah, blah. And he's like looking for another plane. What can he get? Any rate, ended up that we got gifted a Delta Ray from one of our club members.
Yeah, right.
So I deemed this small child worthy of receipt of said Delta Ray, and we maidened it a couple weeks ago and got him stick time on it. And so he's probably one more session from soloing with that. It's a little intimidating because it's probably 5 times bigger than his little foamy Cub he bought on Amazon. But I told him, I said, you've got all the skills flying that little plane that it takes to fly this bigger one. Just realize the bigger one is, bigger and might hurt if it hits you, It might be more of an ouch. But we've had that, and we've had kids come out. And, through that methodology of that coach program, solo in one day, it's good. But I was remarking to Jay that it's been tough getting other folks to kind of step up and want to do that. It is a little bit of a commitment. We tried to make it easy. We said, can you just be a helper?
Yeah, sure.
Because, one instructor might be able to give help to several if we've got pilots that otherwise are doing buddy box or standing there, to provide maybe emergency help, right? While instructors kind of providing pointers. So we'll get there. I think the COVID thing obviously is still a wrench in people's routine I get emails and say, hey, are you guys open? Can you fly at the field? I'm like, well, yeah, we've been flying again for like 4 months now. So come on out. But yeah, people are,
well,
but it's good.
Cautious, but it's good that you're getting interest. I know that I've been out at our club a couple of times, and we've had not really as much. We're spread out a little bit more, and our hobby shops are not as close as yours. But we have gotten a few, new members, brought out new stuff, and it's kind of neat to watch. I mean, hopefully this, the COVID, we can pull something positive out of it. If our hobby all of a sudden gets a little bit bigger because of it, and that's always a positive for us, even though it's kind of a roundabout way to get there. But well, exciting then, especially when you have youth that are coming in that are actually planning on they're getting out of the computer age and into something that can get them outside and learn a new skill.
Yep. So just to mention, so we had a club member that has a group of I think they're called the Frontier Girls, and we're going to host them. There's about 6 of them. We're going to host them to come out and learn about aviation and earn a badge or a certificate for doing that. Had a Cub Scout reach out. They want to schedule something, so that's really good. We tried to do try to reach some of our underserved communities. So I made a connection to a group that's nationwide. It's called Black Girls Code. I don't know if you're familiar with that organization, but at any rate, kind of not aviation, but they do coding, like they coding, right? So we have algorithms that run on our machines that requires code and coding and stuff. So they're not doing any events till 2021, just due to COVID and some, restrictions they've got for activities. But we plan on, hosting them out in the park and giving them buddy box tips. Because again, kind of a casualty of this whole COVID thing, we lost all of our events this year, the Wings Over Springs, of course, but the normal park events are Holly Fest, where we, last year we flew over 100 kids, during the festival.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so those have just been great. And, we've been using grant money from the AMA to get flight simulators, trainers, so that we can do those hands-on, flight experiences.
Sure.
Yep. So.
Wow. So, it's kudos to you, man. I mean, even in these troublesome times, it sounds like you're finding ways to make this work, and we give you props for that. It's always a pleasure for us to hear, the things that are exciting on that side of the world. So, our country, I guess. You're not totally out of the world.
Yeah, really. No, we're
Yeah, it's still pretty exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well,
so,
man,
I just want to ask a quick question with it's the ASX3, right? And that's the key to the whole program, right? So that and it is it's not
safe mode.
Safe mode, or it does.
So the that coach program is basically, they buy a access code for $20 from Horizon, register on a website, and get hooked up with flight instructors that have scheduled times at various places around town, or just reach out directly and hook up with a flight coach. They call them flight coaches. And the idea is, you meet up in the park maybe for a 2-hour intensive session. And the goal is to get the student comfortable getting up and getting down in safe mode, right? Not necessarily doing any progression of that, but obviously talking them through what the switches do and everything else. But, much like a drone, a pure drone quadcopter type thing where, you can get it up, but can you get it down? Fixed wing's a little more challenging, but what we found is, with the right aircraft and most of the Horizon beginner planes, other than the jet they just released, which I still wouldn't recommend anyone getting a jet to start out with their first plane.
Right. Yeah.
I say, that's not how I learned, but that's okay, because if they're having fun, there's a smile on their face, and they can come out to the park with their parent and get that thing up. who cares if they've got training wheels on it, virtual training wheels by flying it around in safe? That's not a badge of dishonor.
Right.
That's a badge of pride, and they should be happy about that. And they are. The kids we've seen are.
Yeah, well, the whole idea to me, you have a plane that takes less than 10 minutes to put together, right? So it's together in 10 minutes. In the half an hour, you're waiting for the battery to charge. You're kind of explaining how things work, making sure all your control linkages are up. You have your flight guy who's there that's helping you, goes over those things, trims out the plane for him, and then you can turn around and hand the guy the controller, and he can fly with no problem, even if he has no idea what he's doing. But once again, that unit's taking care of everything.
Yeah.
You just have to hit a button to get it back into safe mode and straight and level again if he gets out of control. And I think it kind of changes the whole, I guess, the way we all learned. Okay, you're going to come out, we're going to meet, we're going to fly for so many, for half an hour at a time. Today, we're just going to learn how to fly in the pattern. Today, we're just going to learn how to make right-hand turns. Today, we're just going to learn how to set the throttle so we can come down at a set angle. Those type of things. Where this, you kind of skip all that. Yeah, I won't say you have to skip it. It's just that I guess you don't have to have somebody holding your hand nearly as much as you would the old style.
What we had to do, or I had to like rethink how, because I remember how I learned to fly, and it was a progression like that. It took time because I had to build confidence, and it took time. So you quickly figure out, or I had to figure out how to cut that time out, because you don't need that time. It's important to say, okay, you fly it around the sky, let's do some figure eights, see if you can maintain altitude. You're going to get a sense very quickly the skill level of the person to know, can they handle that? And then with regard to landings, you show them, hey, here's the visual clues for how I want you to line up for landing. And then the landing, because of the flight controls, is chop the throttle, and safe keeps the wings level. And even if you forget the flare, usually it'll be a 3-pointer right on the deck. Take off. These planes have a setup where full throttle, other than perhaps correcting for torque, to keep it on a track, it's going to take off and climb out, because that's how the flight controller is set up.
Right.
So I've showed guys, transmitter above my head, full throttle, no hands on the sticks, and the plane just takes off by itself. You just want to make sure it's not pointed towards you when you do that, right? Safety. So, yeah.
That's right. For anybody else.
Well, that's the other thing. You have to, it's like, hey, we got this big field here, and I'd like you to, do a, parallel to this red line, this safety line. But again, at the end of the day, let's just get up in a safe direction and not fly into, it's that kind of thing. So, at any rate.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we know you got an early day for tomorrow. It's late for you, and we really appreciate the time that you've put in and with us. It's always a pleasure to have you. Unfortunately, our hour is up, and we have always been in your corner. So if there's anything you need from us, just let us know.
I will. Thanks.
Well, we appreciate that. I know, right? Oh, okay. Well, and then speaking of which, he's already texting down there. I'll tell you what, you can help us out too. We have a giveaway. We have an airplane that we need to give away, and it's a fairly large size. I think it's a 60 size, maybe a little smaller. But we are looking for a contest. So maybe you can kind of rummage around your guys out there and see if you can come up with a good contest on how we can give away this airplane, and that'll help us out. Maybe somebody can come up with a good idea. So if you've got an idea and you're listening to us now, 830-444-4943, that's the number you can call and give us we're looking for contest ideas, so you can kind of give us a pretty plane contest, or maybe we were thinking something online. Maybe we could do like a forwarding or joining our Facebook page if we get a certain amount of people listening, or maybe subscribers to our YouTube channel. So maybe that'll help out. But give us a call. Also, we're going to reach out once again, rcbatteriesusa.com, Park Flyer Podcast 10, PFPC 10. Grab a power battery or two. And then once again, 3D Aero Ventures. Give Eric a shout over there. Type in Park Flyer and download some of those plans and let us know how they work. So.
And for 3D and for whistles for your plane, just reach out to NC Doug at 555-1212.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. I gotta print a Nerf football. Then these will work fine.
That's it. There you go. Press the football, stick them in there, and it'll work like a charm.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what. We wish you the best of luck with that. Keep us informed. Have a great vacation, and tell the guys out there we're really sorry we didn't make the event this year, but we'll definitely put our calendars for next year. Come back out. We had such a great time last year. So
yeah. Well, thanks guys for having me on the show tonight. I really
thank you
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck with your 3D printer. From Michael here in Arizona,
and Jay from the hills of Texas,
and AK Mike in Texas.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.